pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. At this point, I'd like to introduce the members of the commission seated here tonight. To my immediate left is Bill Gandenzi, our vice chair of the commission. To his left is Ron Sienna, regular member, and to his far left is Paul Morano, our regular member of the commission. My far right, Janet Crane, our recording secretary. And sitting at the administrative table this evening is David Perkins, our North Branford planner. My name is Robert Nowak. I'm the chairman for the commission tonight. The next order of business is for us to review the minutes previously for actually October 19th that we kind of missed for this one, December 14th and January 4th.
I think we actually did the October.
You did?
Yeah, I recall we did that.
You were not here.
Yeah.
I wasn't, but I just saw this one here. This is what caused me to say why is it motion to continue on the minutes. That's why I brought it up again.
If you want to make a change to them at this point, that's in your purview.
Not this one, so. Yeah, I wasn't at that one. I thought we did it in a prior meeting though. Yeah, maybe not.
It's Bill, myself, Ron, and Barry were at the October 19th, but if that's okay, we'll just continue and move on.
Yeah.
Okay? December 14th meeting was, in attendance was Ron, Barry, and Paul. We have 2 out of the 3, so we'll continue that to the next meeting if that's all right.
We did do the minutes in December. October, we approved them in December. You weren't there.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you, Janet. January 4th, present was myself, Trish, Ron, and Paul. So we do have a quorum for the minutes of January 4th. If the members want to take a minute to review the minutes, if you have them, I have a copy here if you'd like to see them. Let me know if there's any adjustments, corrections, or changes you'd like to make, and then when you're ready, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes as noted. Paul, do you need to see the minutes from? Okay.
What was the date on that?
This is January 4th.
I motion that we accept the minutes for January 4th.
We have a motion of a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, we approved the January 4th minutes. Next order of business on the agenda is old business. We have application 2023-18, amendment to the zoning regs for the establishment of multifamily housing district as an overlay zone in R40 or R80 zones that delineates an area that is suitable for mixed-use multifamily residential small business development within a quarter mile of a bus station or proposed station and adjacent to a state highway. Minimum lot size is 200,000 square feet and a maximum density of 20 dwelling units per acre. Applicant is North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission. Last time we met, we closed the public hearing and left with some homework, as it were. One of our people who came up to testify in support of offered some suggestions and changes to our regulations. We looked over them, made some changes, and the document is in front of you. If you want to have some conversation about all of the changes, that's fine. And I see, Paul, you had some questions. Do you want to go through some of your questions on the whole multifamily housing district as a whole, it appears, right?
Yeah, because we don't have anything established yet, right?
We have, this is our text amendment to our regulations to incorporate something that's been on the books for at least 2 years. I shouldn't say on the books, but in discussion over a period of time.
I think we had a discussion and everything seemed in order. I don't see anything that stood out to. Did we have any discussion with any of the surrounding towns as far as what they have on the books? Are we all the same?
I couldn't tell you. We were all required, every town was required to develop an affordable housing plan. Every town has a POCD. I forget what that stands for. What's a POCD?
Plan of conservation.
Plan of Conservation Development, I couldn't think what the P was. And every town has a plan over the next 10 years, and most towns, and every town has something element of in their plan to incorporate affordable housing into their town. One of the ways that we were looking at trying to incorporate that into our town was through this text amendment. This is a start for us. Now, as you know, every town is required to have at least 10% affordable housing. We have about 2%. This is an effort for us to move forward in a direction so we're not mandated by the state to make 10%. This is our effort.
I think there's also generally a need for housing stock like this for even younger professionals, you know? Because they don't have, especially in our town, it's your 3-4 bedroom house or nothing. So if you grew up in North Branford, Northford, you don't really have an avenue as a young professional. Where then, maybe if you get married and have kids or something, then you come back, you can buy a house, but it also fills that role as well.
It's the lack of housing.
Yeah.
In general, not
Yeah,
affordable,
yeah,
but
exactly.
the lack of housing in
This kind of
North
housing stock, yeah.
That's correct. That's also mentioned in the POCD as diversification in our housing stock. This is one of the elements to improve that goal, as it were.
You know, I read these a couple of times, and each time I read it, you know, different things pop up. And
All right.
not to be confrontational or anything like that, you know, we're making an assumption that the 1 and 2 bedrooms are going to be young professionals. Well, you know, we can't stereotype or isolate this in that a 1 and 2 bedroom is going to attract anybody.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that being
I
the
wasn't
case-
assuming anything.
No. What I'm just throwing things
Yeah.
out there. You know, with that, does North Branford, the town of North Branford, have the facilities to handle with low-income housing, low-income salaries? So a lot of these people are going to be on welfare, food stamps, assisted Section 8. You know, thank God I don't know too much about this, but do we have a social, emotional department that can handle the needs of the people that are going to be in the low-income housing?
Ron, I don't know the answer, but I don't want to go off on a tangent.
I think it's affordable housing too, and it's based,
Correct.
it's, what is it, your median?
Correct.
Household salary, it's based on the North Branford median household salary.
Correct, and this would
So
be,
that's
The 10% affordable in this plan would be an 80% of the median income,
Yeah.
which rents would be for a two-family apartment, they're probably gonna be $2,000 a month. They're not Section 8
Yeah,
type
that's
of
not
housing.
low-income housing. That's,
But we do
that's
have,
affordable, you know.
we do have an affordable housing, housing authority in North Branford that caters to the lower percentage.
How does that work now? So it's 70,000?
I don't know what 80% of the median is, but it's high. 80% of the median is very high.
We don't have a number?
I think I recall it was over $100,000. 90, I think 90 was the average in town.
Right, so your 80% number would be like $60,000, $70,000. It's not,
Off the top of my head, if I remember correctly.
And that's what they would have to make.
Well, then it's adjusted, it's not sure.
in order to qualify for the affordable housing portion of this overlay zone.
I don't think.
So correct me if I'm wrong, we're using low-income housing and affordable housing interchangeably
No.
when they should not be.
Say that again?
We're using low-income housing and affordable housing interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. We're discussing,
You're just using terminology,
yes, semantics.
correct?
Well, unfortunately, with semantics come stereotypes.
Yes, exactly.
So, you know, have you been to a recent training on affordable housing in the push for it?
I've been reading.
So really the word that they want to use and they want to get away from affordable housing is because of the stereotypes that you just shared. They want to call it workforce housing. You know, it's starting out police, firefighters, teachers only make starting out 40,000, 45,000 a year. UPS is a great career. Letter
Amazon.
carriers, FedEx. Amazon.
Facility,
So
North Haven. Yeah.
it's to reduce stereotypes. It's, to just use synonymously affordable, low income, and affordable means we're gonna, attract, unsavory elements that we gotta get away from that. And one way to easily do that is more think about it as workforce housing. People who are trying to start out, and it's good careers, but they need a leg up, especially younger families.
So question, so we're saying workforce, affordable, and low income are all the same?
No. Well, so with affordable housing, workforce housing, it's different tiers. You could choose to have Section 8 as an option. You could go with 60% of the median, 80% of the median. We're going with 80%. But there's a lot of really good training out now to help towns, reduce that stereotype.
And we have an affordable housing report that we approved a year or two ago that, tells us which way we want to go, and it certainly recommends that the 80% affordable housing is something we should be looking into and actively doing. And it's, as Trish says, it's, misnomer, it's about it. There's some great developments all over Connecticut that have been at the 20% affordable level, and you would never know that 20% of the housing is at 80% and even 60%.
Yep.
And so the higher rents are paying for the lower rents.
Does that make sense?
Good twist.
Not a twist, it's just a fact.
I have a-
So there is the 830G state regulation that I'm not sure that you're familiar with, Paul. But if somebody comes with an application that has 20% affordable housing in it, they can flaunt all the zoning regulations in the town. They can build basically whatever they want.
Yeah.
So not to get nitpicky, but 39.25, public water and sewers are available. What does available mean?
Do you do this?
I know what we're trying to say, but does that say what we're trying to say?
Well, I mean, if they
It
could,
means public water and sewers have to be able to be attached to it.
well, if they,
Hooked up.
if they could do it without public water and sewers, I don't think we really care.
So what, but then that's even further, I don't understand what that means and if they can do it.
Well, because it creates it in a high-density zone that has the facilities already there, rather than the town having to bring the water and the sewer to the location.
So what are we trying to say with public water and sewer? I always thought, when we did this years ago, the overlay, the bridge industrial to residential, we had a similar thing. And we said that they should be able to be hooked to sewer and water. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, but then I thought you said it doesn't have to be that. I thought you just said that.
I did
Okay.
just say that. I mean, if they could develop it without connecting,
But then that doesn't meet this, right?
well, if
That's
they're-
why I'm calling it out, because it's very ambiguous to me. Available is very ambiguous to me.
And-
I don't want to,
What would you propose instead?
I'm asking the question because I don't understand what it means. And then you said two different things, if I heard you correctly. So which further throws in, makes it ambiguous for me. You first said it, you agreed that you would have to be able to hook to it, but then you said, well, not necessarily. You could also, if you could do it without hooking, you could do it. You could develop this.
Do you want
But then that doesn't, I don't know what
understand,
that means.
that's your ambiguity, right? Yeah.
What did we want to say?
Do you
guys,
wanna-
I wasn't here last time, but I've seen it before. I don't know, I don't want to make a big deal of it, just, to me, I don't know what, I was just trying to understand what it meant.
Well, we have a couple different
Because
changes.
available could be,
Bill,
hit the water line, the sewer line comes to here and you're developing it here. Well, it's available, but we're not hooked to it. I mean, so to me, are we trying to say it has to be hooked to?
Would it be clearer if we just say available for hookup versus septic and a well?
That's why I'm just trying to understand what our intention is. If our intention was that
To hook
it
up.
should be on septic, and it should not be on septic, and it should not be on well, maybe we should be clear. If we don't necessarily want that to be hard and fast, we can keep it as it is.
So that's up to you.
It's our regs,
Well,
Bill.
I originally, when we originally did this, that was a stipulation, because then that kind of limits where it is, there's only limitations to where these things can go. So,
Because, yeah, if it's available a mile down the road,
He would have to tie into it. Right?
So, yeah, then you
He would
want
have to bring the water and the sewer
required.
to that.
there's only certain, if it's sewer and water,
So, I mean, you could,
that limits where and it's less than 10 acres and more than 4 acres.
I mean,
You're limited to there's only certain parts of this town that you can even do this in.
so, I mean, you could say public water and sewer connections are required.
I don't want to necessarily see anything, I'm trying to clarify what we're trying to say.
Let me just bounce back a little bit, where we allowed developments to go, in Northford. And then the septic systems were failing left and right.
Yeah.
So the town had to put in
Yeah.
a sewer line all the way up, basically to save the development.
Mhm.
So with that knowledge, I have to agree with you that I think it should be required, because otherwise, I'm gonna put a septic system and well system in, if they fail, okay, town of North Branford, put in the sewer line.
Yeah, I'm not an engineer, it seems like multi-family dwelling, which you have several units, you probably want to be hooked up to sewer and water.
I think,
It just intuitively makes sense to me, but.
I think we're all in agreement what do we want to say?
Yeah.
Now, let's figure out the right words to put in there, okay? Public water and sewers, what were you suggested, Dave?
Public water and sewer connections are required.
There you go.
I'm saying, it's a better word than that.
That's easy. Yeah, all that just for one word. Good. It's the power of words, right?
Keep it simple.
Power of the comma.
Oxford.
Yeah, exactly.
Does anybody else have any comments on page 1? Go through this thing, okay?
Yeah.
You might as well. Go ahead, Trish.
39.2.2, I know on page 2, we say, the site is a suitable location for multifamily, and is within within walking distance of industrial and or commercial. Do we just wanna put that copy and paste here, because, just to be consistent, because when I read that, I was like, what does that even mean? And then I got the clarification after the fact, but
Yeah, makes sense.
keep it consistent.
That makes sense to me.
Excuse me, what number was that again, Trish?
39 point, so
Civil land.
39.2.2 has just land use zones, but when you flip the page, it defines it here, so just to be consistent, put
Oh,
this
yeah.
line
Yes,
here
yes,
as
yes,
well.
yes.
So where did you want to move that to?
It could be in both places, there's a copy and paste of within walking distance of industrial and or commercial zones, so instead of saying of other land use zones, of industrial and or commercial zones.
So I think the
That's what we mean,
Or
right?
business zones.
I think it's
Yeah.
just, so it's like, it's a general eligibility, right? So if you want to consider this parcel, you meet these 5 conditions in general, without going into specifics, Trish.
Oh,
Then-
that's the intention to be
That's
general?
that's kind of the intent.
Oh,
It's
that's
kinda like,
fine.
let's see, do you meet these 5 first? And then we'll drill down into 39.4.2.2.
Oh, okay.
A site suitable, and get into approval considerations.
Okay, that's the
That
intention,
brings
the
it down
flow, how it's
more-
supposed to go, and. yeah.
Brings it a little bit more specific.
Yep, the context helps.
Kind of like the general purpose, 39, 1 through 4.
Okay, that helps me understand, I didn't have the context, so.
Right, kind of meet all these kind of criteria, and then you drill down the next couple sections. We had made a change to 39.4.1, application contents, section 2, conceptual site plans and schematic architectural plans showing floor plans, elevations for the purpose of development in sufficient detail to show the existing condition, general layout of the proposed improvements. So we kind of improved our conceptual drawing to kind of incorporate a lot of our requirements to get to the next level, as it were. There's another change at the next one down, approval considerations. 39.4.2, approval consideration number 3. Projected development will be guaranteed, the projected development will not generate traffic in such amounts as to overburden or cause a hazardous condition to the street system in the area. Access to the site via state route is preferred and may require state approval. I know there was some concern in our general dialogue about the traffic generator, as it were, depending on where you lay this out, overlaid into any part of the town that meets the page 1 requirements, is always the issue of traffic generation. So if you're going to put a proposal as us, there's going to be 100 and some odd units with 200 cars. Is that going to generate traffic? And is that going to be a concern time of day, morning, evening, as most people come and go for work or not, or retirees? So is there something more that we should put in this to clarify? And if approval considerations is if the applicant comes in front of us, he says, it's gonna generate so much cars, and there's a sightline issue and this and the other thing, but I can mitigate that. Is that something that would, obviously in approval considerations, any large development will have traffic, cars coming out of the unit, at different times of the day.
Do these regs anywhere require, because I know in some of our other applications, we have traffic studies as a requirement.
Would this require a special use? Or is this just by, if we adopt it, it's just by, it's a zoning reg by right? Do you know?
No, then it gets a site plan review.
But it wouldn't be a special use where we'd have some discretion. Because that's where you, special use, you have great discretion to these traffic things. You can say, well, I know I drive that every day, and if you have a traffic class F, that's not gonna work here, you know, that's.
There should definitely be a study.
Well, the OST, I'm sure anything that side will require an OSTA review by the state if it has more than
Yeah, true.
200 parking spaces or residential development of over 100 units is not exempt from an OSTA. So if it's that size, it would require that. It is a special use permit, yes.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
Good, all right, that's helpful. I mean,
Helpful because we can ask for a traffic study and they have to do it, or it's a requirement?
So if it's not, if it's just a site plan review, it's just zoning, if it meets zoning regs, it meets zoning regs. We have no, we can't, there's no discretion.
Okay.
But special use, we have discretion.
Yeah.
We can use our knowledge, we can use comments from the public more and say, you know, we can deliberate and say, that's really bad traffic. Now, this would be worse. Where without a special use, if it meets zoning regs, it meets zoning regs, so there's not much you can do.
In other
Correct?
parts
Is that
Right.
correct? Yeah.
Yep.
how do we have it in other parts of our regs? In some of them?
Might be
When we've
special
had
use.
traffic studies, has
Yeah.
it been a requirement of
No,
whatever's happening?
well, sometimes they'll just ask and they'll comply. If we're concerned, they'll do a traffic study.
Okay, because I
Right.
never know when we've gotten.
Yeah,
it,
but
if it's
certainly with a special
requirement.
permit, you can
Special-
require
yeah,
a
special-
peer review of
special-
their
Okay.
traffic
Okay.
study.
I just forget. I just need to remind you.
I got a question on 30 and 35. Yeah, first page, the last one. What is that saying is home occupation? Is that running a business out of the house? Or is that working from a computer at the house?
A customary home occupation would be somebody working on a computer, somebody sewing dresses at home, a millinery work.
But that's not like running a business where you're gonna have traffic in and out of the house?
No.
You know,
No, that's not a
Towing trucks.
customary home
you know, you're
occupation.
not gonna have Amazon parked down front all day going back.
Correct, that's, well, nothing that generates traffic would be in there. But if you wanna can vegetables in your kitchen and take them to a craft show on Saturdays and sell them,
Right, so this isn't running a business basically at home, this is just working from home by yourself that you do.
correct.
Are we okay with the change on, with the requirement for the traffic before we move on to the next page? Having may require state approval or just eliminate it? Is it necessary? And is it understood as written?
Yeah, we can leave it there.
Okay, okay. Moving on to page 3, 39.6, developmental standards.
Oh, I have a question.
Go for it.
Who's to determine adequate utility services? Us or that? Or the applicant?
Applicant.
No, I haven't,
I
thank
see
you, I
a board
appreciate it.
that's-
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be getting headaches soon.
So approval considerations, they would have to be,
Okay.
they would have to meet all the building requirements as well, Trish, right? So any code issues, electrical,
Okay.
the whole 9 yards, gas, whatever. $200,000, 39.6, developmental standards, building height. There was some concern about how it was written last time, and over the course of 2 years, so we came up with a suggested language. Buildings and other structures shall not exceed a height of 45 feet with 3 livable floors. There shall be no livable space above 35 feet. Height is to be measured from the finished grade adjacent to the exterior walls of the building, vertically to the highest point of the building, including top of parapet, roof ridge, and roof-type mechanicals.
So we're saying 45?
Not to exceed 45 feet.
45.
With only 3 livable floors.
Yep.
So our 35 feet kind of gets us to those 3 floors. After that, it's either
Yeah.
decorative or mechanical or nothing that someone could live in or do anything with.
This is our new ladder truck. I just assume
Yes.
you
Yes.
checked that, right?
Yeah.
I asked that last time, yeah. 'Cause, you
Yeah,
know,
that was our concern.
An issue in Bradford once upon a time. Can I ask, this is just, I'm just nitpicking, so sorry.
Don't nitpick, Bill. This is just
I'm
a
not.
conversation we're having as a commission. You're fine.
No, I'm just curious why we use 200,000 square feet and then say 10 acres. Is there a reason? I don't know.
Wait,
It's 5
It is
acres and 10
200,000
acres,
square
right?
feet. How many acres?
That's 5 acres,
Four,
right?
4 and change, almost 5.
Basically, yeah.
Almost 5. So you want to change the 5? I think it was a.
That's fine, keep it, I just didn't know.
It was definitely just a dark, it was a number.
Yeah, I just didn't know why you say 5 and 10 acres.
If you
It's
remember.
essentially 5 and 10 acres.
If you remember, Bill, we kind of started this out with 2 pieces of properties that came in front of us.
I'm just talking about the consistency in the units, that's all. That's the nitpicking. You're going from square feet, and then the second criteria is acres. It's like, just keep it acres. It's between 5 and 10 acres. That's all I'm saying.
Would you like to change it?
No.
Oh, come on.
I'm just curious if it came from
Oh,
something.
step up, Bill. You're all right. You can do it.
Something specific.
All right, we're going to make that 5 acres, all right?
Yes.
Minimum 5,
Oh, I can
max.
sleep tonight, thank you.
You got it, kid. Could have put 4.92 acres. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it works out to be.
I just appreciate acres clear because 200,000 square feet, I'm like, what?
All right, we'll do 5 acres. So we change lot size to 5 acres min, a max of 10. Okay?
For the 39.6 under 1 density, does that mean there's 640 per acre? You got the units with the dwellings,
So 20 per
20 units.
20 apartments, 20 townhouses.
So you couldn't do anything, you couldn't do 200 because you need setbacks. Or you could do 200, right?
Right.
200 units. Yeah.
Did we answer the question, Paul?
And so when it says minimum or maximum 20 units per acre, right? So on that 1 acre, you have 20 units, and then it says on that, no more than 32 dwellings.
No building.
Buildings, okay. Seems like a lot, is that a lot on 1 acre?
What?
How many houses, that seems like a lot on 1 acre, isn't it? Or 20?
That's what the market does for this sort of development is 20 units per acre. In fact, I think the one down at exit 58 in Branford is like 23 or 24 per acre. I mean, that's the going.
So I think what this says is,
The
if
building-
you did the whole, you can do 20 per acre.
Right.
But if you consider doing, if you could go to the maximum 10 acres, you could only have 30, you could distribute that only to 32 buildings. You couldn't have 36 buildings, you couldn't have 46
Right.
buildings.
Okay.
So, right? So
Yeah,
you
so
could
it
have.
tries, it scales the buildings
Yeah,
down.
so it doesn't mean, yeah.
You don't get one big, huge building in the middle.
Right. Plus all the other requirements.
32 dwelling units.
Dwelling would be an apartment or a condo or whatever they want to call it.
Correct. Any other questions on page 3? page 4. This is 39.6.2, impervious surface area ratio. Impervious meaning that water can't penetrate through the surface. Just to be clear, asphalt, concrete, buildings, pools, concrete sidewalk. Maximum impervious surface coverage of pavement, buildings, and other structures as a percentage of light area should not exceed 50%. So what we wanted to consider in addition to the 50% was low impact development and pervious pavement structures shall not be counted as impervious structures.
So there are new designs where you can create parking areas that are pervious. So
Can we
they should
put-
be rewarded for doing that.
Yeah, can we put are strongly encouraged and don't count as impervious?
Sure.
I mean, we should be always encouraging these things anyway, we might as well just state.
Yeah, we could say low
Yeah.
impact development.
And impervious pavement is encouraged, strongly encouraged,
Right.
and shall not be counted as impervious, count towards impervious structures or something like that.
Yep, got it.
Quick question about the density, just because I wasn't here for that conversation. What do we align that with? You look at other towns?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 4, under landscape shall be provided and permanently maintained as follows. We added a statement that larger trees of 4-inch caliber or greater in stands of mature trees and shrubs should remain undisturbed or practicable and desirable. So we just qualify what a larger tree is considered to be. Landscape buffer, number 5.
Should we skip parking? Sorry.
Unless you have a comment about it. Do you have a comment?
I do, yeah, I do. Sorry.
Sure, go for it.
Parking for small businesses, small business use? What is that? Shall
No
be
big-
1 per 2,500 square feet?
So we have on
I missed that.
39.3 permitted uses, small scale retail,
Oh.
service and restaurant use for gross
Sorry.
footprint no larger than 10,000 feet.
I didn't see that, sorry.
I'm assuming that aligns with our regs for parking, right? Okay.
Good, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yep.
Landscape buffer, I wanted to incorporate something into the regs. It's worded as a buffer of evergreens. First off, a minimum of 50% of the trees and shrubs planted in a buffer zone shall be evergreens. Since there's a variety of evergreens, I thought it needed to be clarified a little bit further. A buffer of evergreens shall be provided of such a type and density provides a visual barrier obscuring the complex from the adjacent state highway throughout the year. Any planting shall have a minimum height after planting and pruning of 6 feet, except the visual barrier along the highway shall not be pruned. Whether that's relevant or not, I thought whether it works or not, you guys tell me how you like it or don't like it or want to revise it or eliminate it altogether. Or just a suggested. Everything in here is suggested, it's our reg, so if we want to
Yeah.
change it, we change it and put whatever words we want in there.
I don't know.
So,
It's the battle of being specific and not being specific, especially with special use. You can always use discretion at the time of application. So if it's in there, we're held kind of, like, I don't know if we're held to it, but I don't know how I feel about that.
and let me explain my logic. I travel to New Canaan almost every day and I'm going back roads and I see these developments. Kind of, but you don't.
Yeah,
Unless you pull into them. I think that's the biggest problem North Branford will have. If such a development comes to fruition, it doesn't fit in the town. It doesn't do this and it doesn't do that. But if you don't see it, you can never know it's there. Montgomery Village is a cluster home development set back in the woods.
Yeah.
We have also numerous times in discussion over the years of 50 Fowler Road. He wants to build a 55-plus community of 3 buildings of 33 units each and 82 single-family dwellings. So, again, we dictate where this goes and floats, and we can put it where it is. So, will we object to having it off of Fowler Road in the back? Probably not. No one will ever see it. Will we object to it being right where, let's say, Duties is? There'd be a big problem having it right there, right? So that's where our discretion comes in, and I didn't think it would be appropriate to have this come in front of us with public objection to such a plan if this isn't in there. That's why I proposed it.
Yeah, I don't have an objection to some of the language. I just thought when you start getting very specific about 6 feet and this, I don't know if that's needed, but I don't have a big problem with it. There should be buffering, yeah, so goal is just as you described. It should be like you don't even know it's there, clearly.
I thought of that, Bill, and I know your position, but like, well, wait a minute, I need to be more tighter so you can't see it. So he can put white pines in there, but they grow to 50 feet tall and you can see right through them.
Yeah.
And they're a mess, and that's an evergreen tree.
Okay.
Right, so that's kind of where I was going with that language.
Now, I wouldn't know where to put this, but I was thinking, I'd like to see non-invasive species. I mean, local.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
isn't there one
native.
we're not supposed to use?
You mean
One that
native?
attracts deer? Isn't there one we always say don't arborvitae?
Arborvitae's, yes. It's like salad for deers. They love it.
Yeah, we always say don't do that one, right?
We used to be, that was our go-to plant many years ago.
Oh.
And the salt kills it, deer eat it, deer get in a lot of trouble. That's why I was thinking of that when I said non-invasive
Is
species.
arborvitae an evergreen?
It's an evergreen.
I think even like Norway spruce is invasive. It's not native. It's not native, I should say. It's not harmful necessarily, but it's not native. Where other spruces are.
I think by the time you get to a site plan level, those details can be worked out.
The species.
Question about my visual spatial skills. I just always go to, in North Haven, when you go over the train tracks, the development on the right that has the trees in front, like, and you can see the buildings, but you often don't see the buildings when the trees are there. Like what, again, from my visual spatial, what's like the setback do we think there, just so I could have a picture in my head of, because that's an example of like, it's right there, but you don't see it, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's the Italian,
Remember the train
the
tracks?
Italian place that's like,
Tuscan.
something
Tuscan,
Manor.
Tuscan Village.
Like,
Tuscan
is that like
Village.
about 75 feet? I have no idea, I'm just,
Right by the
Yeah, I
railroad
think it's
track. Right after
Tuscan.
the railroad track? Yes.
yeah.
It's far in the back.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, it might be further back.
It might be.
I mean, but still, the point being that, I agree with the rubber. It does help, it helps it digest it better, however you want.
Right, and in front of that, Tuscan is there's a mound of dirt, and then the trees are on it, so it gives like a visual,
Oh, okay.
like it doesn't really, not flat, and you look right at it, but
Yeah,
there's a
no.
mound in front of it.
Dominated.
Right, so that's kind of,
That says if there's trees there already, they can't take them down?
not can't. Suggested? What do we say?
Well, I thought I read a spot where it said that you can't disrupt it, or we suggest not to,
Well, it
Should
suggests,
remain,
should remain.
should. Subjective,
That's a,
right?
Close enough.
Subjective. Right?
yeah.
That's why we put in there to define what a large tree is. So 4 inches of substantial size, a 2-inch problem. Any other comments on page 4?
And lighting nevertheless has to
It
always.
says it right here. Sorry to interrupt.
Another definition, right? Further in the document.
Yeah, it says municipal sewer must be serviced by sanitary sewers and public water supply, so it's there anyway. So it was already there. It was number 6.
Before we're going from general to specific.
Yeah.
The lighting always, like, I know there's a lot of information here on the lighting, but it always has to still fit our regs for lighting, right?
No, we
Oh.
upped it in this regs.
Oh, that's helpful.
So
Okay.
we took it to the next level. If I remember correct, right, Dave?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right, so outdoor lighting should be minimized and should be fully night sky compliant. That's new. I found something interesting on page 5, number 8, under signage, so I incorporated it into the regs. Buildings shall be individually marked with visible, contrasting, identifying signage to minimize the response time for emergency personnel. Building identifying signs should be illuminated to clearly visible from dawn to dusk. That was an addition I thought would be beneficial in a multi-housing complex.
Well, yeah, for emergency vehicles, whatever needs to be done for them to find. So wait, quick question back to lighting,
Yep.
those plans that we get that have all the lighting numbers, that is a requirement of the special use permit, or we can request that?
That's a requirement of
Okay.
the special use permit.
But,
Right, and Dave, I believe that's what the PRD area is, right?
oh, okay.
Am I, sorry, top of the page 5. No, which, I know, it's PRD, sorry.
I have no idea what that means.
I'm assuming that,
I think we just take out that word PRD.
okay.
Has to shine directly outside of the PRD area.
I'm
Outside-
assuming that that's the lighting
outside of
plan, and
this
then it has,
area.
you know,
Yeah,
like
because
the
like
property,
lawn goes away,
right, it's gotta be 0 once it hits a property line.
To be honest with you, it might have a lot of relevance, so I don't think we just scrap it. We should understand what it is first.
I think it was probably some other development that was put
Yeah.
into it,
Oh,
like
okay,
a planned
gotcha.
residential
Oh,
development or something.
got it, right.
Right, because it's supposed to reflect the.
I think it was copied and pasted and was never
Document
taken out.
project. Yeah, okay, that's probably not it.
Yeah.
Scrap it then. You're probably right, yeah. I didn't-
We'll go with that assumption, Dave.
Yeah.
So under signage, well, number 8, we talked about that.
Where did the initial lease term idea come from? The 1 year. Just for context, you know, for any debate. Just where did the idea for number 9 come from? Just for,
1 year.
again, for context, not discussion.
I have no idea.
I'm not for or against, I just, or,
Probably rollover, we don't want rollover, like every month someone coming in and out of the place, but you have a great point though, so.
It becomes a hotel almost, you know.
Well, I mean, that could be too, but you brought up the fact of workforce housing, right?
Yeah, a
So
lot of people-
sometimes workforce housing is short term. Executive comes in for a month, stays a month. That doesn't fit here, but are we going to have the oversight to say and monitor that? If he only stays a month or a quarter?
We had this conversation when there was that overlay that was by Honeywell. We were saying Honeywell execs could use it, but Honeywell could actually take the yearly lease out,
lease.
and then they could just, have it available for execs.
True.
Things like that, so.
Okay. The penthouse unit, right?
Yes, of course.
Do you want to get rid of that?
yeah, I'm not,
Yeah, I don't
know what to think about it, I guess. I would assume whoever does these developments doesn't want that much new, I'm assuming there's year lease anyway, but.
But it's only the first year.
Initial, oh, okay. Initial year.
You should leave it there, just leave it open for discussion.
Initial
Somebody
lease
comes
term,
up with a
rent, rental
project.
units
So they're locked in for 1 year to
Shall be
begin with.
rented for a minimum initial
But
lease
to your
term
point, how do
of 1
we,
year.
Yeah, I'd get rid of it.
yeah.
Unless, no, I don't know. Would someone,
that-
would someone be, it's not really practical to have like a 6-month lease or a 2-month lease, what would you do that for?
I don't think it's in the interest of the landlord to
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
that.
no, I think just, yeah, naturally, that's not gonna be an issue. And if it is, then that's just on the landlord that has to deal with it, breaking the lease and.
Right, from a commission standpoint of view, I don't think we are concerned how long they rent it.
No, but from a zoning enforcement officer perspective,
Oh.
I feel like they're
I'd
taking
rather
on
not
somebody
see it
else's
there.
job.
You'd rather not see,
I'd rather not have something like that, to have a neighbor say, well, you know, they only did a 6-month lease, what are you gonna do, enforce it? How am I gonna, I mean,
What are you gonna do, yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
Great point.
just makes a
They have no real
problem for me.
so having, so you want it in, or you don't
No,
want
I'd
it?
get rid of it.
You wouldn't, you don't want it?
Scrap.
Yeah, I agree. Leasing something,
It's not, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with planning or zoning or,
Not in the discussion, no. I'm okay with it. We'll eliminate it?
Yes. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
want-
cool. Scrapped.
Put it this way, if it wasn't there, would you even think of it? No.
Okay. There you go.
Quick question, I'm getting confused on, so, was it with the 55 and over? I could be wrong. Did we say, or did they say, did we say there had to be an HOA? What's the, does that, what is that?
That's,
homeowners agreement.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we said that for the 55 and
I
over.
think you're right.
But what, I don't know why we did, but just, that wouldn't have to happen here. Does that happen here? Doesn't?
so that's too far back for me, but we could talk about the Pinnacle property up on Old Post Road. I think the 4 of us were in that discussion, right? And he was gonna do, cluster homes with an HOA,
Okay,
right? But that was his decision, not ours.
okay.
And that, what that does is makes the road smaller, and he's responsible for it,
Oh, okay, so it's something,
right? So they're responsible for anything off the local road they take care of, and the town has nothing to do with it.
so do we need any verbiage in here to say anything about that? Or just if somebody proposes it, we then
No,
consider it? Or
I
it's
don't
not
think
that?
that, I don't know, to me, I don't think that's something that we should be involved in dictating what the property is, an HOA or not,
Okay,
right? Unless
I
I'm
don't
missing
know.
something.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, I'm just
I'm
thinking if you
confused.
had,
Because it's,
if it's, could this be in theory a public road, 10 acres, cluster house, or
I don't know.
multifamily
55
dwelling
and over.
with a public road, and now Franny has to maintain it and plow it, and
I'm just saying we talked
How
about it, and I don't know
responsible
why
for
we
it?
talked about it.
This is gonna be owned by a single entity.
yeah, exactly, so that,
So
the town's out of it,
they don't
yeah.
need an HOA,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
just gonna be Perkins Apartments.
They have to take care of it, yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know if
Someone-
something we should
No,
talk
it's a
about,
good
not talk about.
Yeah, it is
a
I don't
question.
know
No, yeah.
why.
But in that situation, it was a subdivision, this is like,
Oh.
It's a parking lot.
Yeah.
it's a parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
I think we also wanted them to somewhat regulate that it is 55 and over, and it's not, doesn't just become not.
Yeah, 'cause I know
'Cause
we
it was-
had it in the discussion,
Purpose
but I
of it
don't
was
know what was- yeah.
55 and older, so if there's no management of it, it just gets out of control. I think, I can't recall.
Okay?
That's a good
Move on to
point.
number 10. Common space was changed to common use areas, and I found this to be important, I guess. After talking to Franny and on the blueprint committee, in addition, it's worded, in addition, refuse collection areas shall be convenient to the units, shall be screened on all 4 sides, and and shall offer room for recycling activities. Kind of capture the other part of common use areas.
Do we need to, like, I know this is the whole specific versus vague, what's sufficient mean? That's a discussion we have at the time.
You know, you might just want to get rid of that word. Why make it questionable?
Like, I guess more like, what's the intent in this, to make sure they have one thing, three things? I don't mind it, I just don't know
Dave, correct
how
me
we
if,
want that to come out.
so, just my recollection, didn't, or don't we have something that states per unit, there needs to be so much square footage per unit as open space or common area? I'm just thinking of the up here at in Northford, the Triangle area, when we approved the guy's mixed-use building with apartments on the side. I thought there was something that said.
There was in that regulation.
In that particular regulation.
Correct.
Okay.
Was it more of a general,
No, I think it was.
No, it was like 50 square feet per, unit or something, had to be outside or a patio or, I think we're thinking a different kind of structure here where it's gonna be a common area as opposed to those ones are adjacent to each unit. Again, I think this comes back to the site plan and the special use and everything else, and whether it appears that there's one fire pit and that's it. That wouldn't be sufficient.
yeah, I'm not, that helps me understand this, like, I'm not, like I said, I just want, because this is also to guide us, right? So again, 5-10 years from now, we're not on the commission, can somebody read this 5 and 10 years from now to understand the intent behind this? That's all, like, is it, like that, I think, helps me understand the intent of this versus the verbiage in here, you know what I mean? I don't know if anybody else is struggling with it, if not, then. What if somebody, are like, they're like, okay, we're gonna put a playground outside. And it's one of the 10 acres one. Or are we okay with leaving that up for
I think
discussion
you're-
amongst us and working out with the applicant? Well, no, don't have one playground, have two. Like, I just. Does this guide us enough, I guess?
Yeah,
Without being specific, Trish, I think it's fine.
Okay.
But once we get into, we could nitpick right to how many bicycle spots, how many picnic tables per unit, blah, 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 blah. I don't think we want to get into that.
That's fine, as long
Right,
as we
you
do
know.
that.
I think that's something we have to look at as the site plan. Because I've seen developments where each unit has a 10 by 10 out the back door, for a patio and lawn furniture or whatever, and depending on the design of the building.
And conversely to what I said, but is there enough information provided in our regs for someone to say, we know what you mean?
But I think I understand, it's like, it's in here and it's on the applicant to say, hey, this is what we're doing, and then we talk. Is that,
right,
that's great, that's not, go this direction, that direction. That's the intent of this?
yes.
Okay.
Historically, it's been, some reputable developer's gonna come with pretty good plan, because they need to sell these things, so they've gotta make them something people are gonna want to have, so they usually come and present, usually what they present is meeting well, our expectations anyway, but.
It's not just us,
I don't know,
like you said.
yeah, because then you can make everything very specific. It's hard.
Yeah, we get specific on the special use permit.
Yeah.
I continue to struggle with that transition.
Any other comments on page 5? I don't have any changes there.
Why is streets highlighted?
I don't know, Dave, why is it highlighted, streets? Development shall be built to town standards, da-da-da-da-da. Parking lot is not a street, that kind of highlighted just
I have
for,
a lot of that, why is it?
Well, I think, I had conversations with people who wanted to make sure that the streets within the development don't have to be built to town standards, and that they're basically parking lots and throughways, and that they're not streets. And so I added that a parking lot is not a street.
okay?
Can you say that again?
A parking lot is not a street.
No, what were the conversations you had and comments people had that?
Well, it said streets in the development shall be built to town standards.
Yeah,
So anything in the development would have to be 50 feet wide, which is not necessary inside a development. It doesn't have to be built to the town standards.
oh, I got you.
But if it's a street that's gonna access the development that you're gonna build, then it has to be built to the town standard. So I just added a parking lot, it's not a street, because most of it's parking.
Right.
But shouldn't it be built to handle, because these are 35, 45 feet high, God forbid there's a fire, Tower One's gonna have to roll down that.
Oh, well, that's all site plan, the fire marshal will get involved in that, and the town engineer and everybody else to make sure that it works.
Right, because I think it was last week, I asked, no, it was 2 weeks ago, the high school, you know, they were putting a driveway in, and the driveway was gonna run school buses over it. You recall that? That they were, in fact, the driveways were built to such capacity to handle a full loaded school bus and then some.
Well, that's part of the site plan development, and the town engineer and the building official, and the fire marshal, and
Okay.
everybody else.
Okay, very good. Page 6. Item 15 has a lot of changes in it, which is design, or was changed exterior building design. Number 1 was change architectural and site plans for multifamily housing addition development shall be compatible with the physical site attributes, architectural styles of Connecticut and the New England region, and the natural rural aesthetics of the town. So we added styles of Connecticut and New England region to kind of bring architectural styles, to kind of bring some definition to a said neighborhood. Number 8's pretty extensive.
Can I ask a question on 2?
Absolutely.
What is building shall be of such scale and mass that they relate to each other? Like they look harmonious? What do you mean by that? What do we mean by relate to each other?
Well, relate, right? One is I have a single family home next to a 3-story building, and
Okay.
then it's surrounded by 3-story buildings, kind of mass and
yeah,
scale. They make them relate to one another.
All right, I understand.
Dave, on number 3, there was no mention of open space up until this point. We're not requiring them to link anything to open space prior to this?
Correct.
And do we need to mention it in item number 3 then?
It's the only place that it's there. It's
The only-
just saying that if
hang on.
there's if there's an open space nearby or a green space nearby, encourage it, don't discourage.
Okay.
Encourage the use of it, don't discourage it.
Fair enough.
Can I ask a question for number 3? Can that, I know, I forget, a long time ago now, feels like forever, but maybe it wasn't. Can number 3 also capture, like, you know, if, you know, there's a design that says it's approved for somebody, design comes in front of us and they have like, you know, 50 buildings, whatever it is, and, back to what I said, like, you know, how even like the ones off 55, like the big ones are turned to the side, so they're not so imposing, or the smaller buildings are in front and bigger ones in back. Could number 3 satisfy those thoughts we have, or reactions we have to somebody's design and placement?
Well, I think number 2 does that.
Okay. I don't care which one does it, but I just, back to the whole, like, when it's not so imposing, you don't notice it as much, so.
Right. And so 55, how did that look to you, the different configurations? Did that?
It's seeing, again, that's a huge scale, but you know.
Sure.
You have the small building in front, which I'm assuming is the like central office, so it's like, oh, that's not imposing, because it's that, your eyes go to that, and then the opposing buildings are turned to the side.
Yeah.
Whereas if they were facing, those would be imposing.
Mhm.
So just,
And
does
so-
how any of these worded help us work, you know,
And-
those ideas in?
And with that being said, so buildings shall be of the same size, such scale and mass that they are related to each other. Do you feel that that meets exit 55, just the way you described it? That kind of gives you the context by which to kind of see the mass and the size and the scale. They
And
all
also-
kind of relate to one another, right?
Yeah, and more the orientation.
Correct.
Because I wouldn't say, because those other buildings are huge compared to that one, and it's more the orientation.
Well, you
and
could
even-
you could just add that in there, buildings shall be of such scale, mass, and orientation.
Because even like like right over the railroad tracks, the ones to the right, I think, is one face it, and then the other, are both perpendicular. And again, them being perpendicular is not so imposing as if they were horizontal. So yeah, if everybody's okay with adding orientation, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that works.
I can't imagine somebody would come in front and build it, make it so imposing in the beginning, you know, and have a transit, but just to give us that ability to have that discussion. Thank you.
I wanted to do something different for item number 8, materials, colors, and detail features. All of item 8 kind of has been reworded to kind of relate to building facades, right? And we kind of divided into a couple of different categories. Buildings shall be unique to the location and shall be attractive design, which may include a repeating pattern of color, texture, and materials. Building facades shall utilize not less than 3 different high-quality building materials. Exterior building materials exposed to the elements shall be low maintenance, which may include brick, wood, vinyl siding, sandstone, other native stone, or tinted or textured concrete. Masonry units, building facades shall be multicolored. Colors shall be low reflectance, substance, natural or earth tone colors, and include no less than 2 distinct colors. The use of high intensity colors, metallic colors, black is prohibited. Colors may be from the same hue family, but shall be distinct from each other. Building facades shall not include smooth-faced concrete block, tilted panels, or prefab steel panels. Building facades shall be multi-faced. In no case shall building shape be confined to a square or rectangle. The building facade shall be inclusive of all building elements compiled to create a visual impression, as you're referring to, Trish. This is much more inclusive than just the building skin.
Those are all good.
So I can't take credit for it because I
was gonna say, this
Took
is
it
not my
from-
wheelhouse at all, so,
took it from the 2020 mandatory design standard for multifamily housing.
say that again?
The 2020 mandatory design standard for multifamily housing by, I think it's by HUD. But it was good language, and I think it captures what we're looking for in, as a commission on the different facets of what we're looking to achieve in a new development. There's a lot in there to swallow, so I did incorporate some of what we had proposed and then interjected it into a different format. One of the things I found attractive in town was the fact that the newer designs that come into town that build new always incorporate three types or two different types of material. The brick or stone with the vinyl, vertical or columns, and the different combination thereof make it real, I think, attractive. Whether it be down at the proposed Town Line liquor store or the Northford gas station up in Northford, there's always a different type of design elements in there that make it more attractive than just straight up vinyl siding.
Oh, what the heck, let me throw this out there.
Now, just,
With multifamily housing, I have occasion to drive by Mansfield Drive. And, you know, there's a dozen or so kids standing on the side of the highway waiting for the bus. And the bus shows up, puts the lights on, traffic coming in multiple directions is not, they're not pleased. Now, I don't know the answer to this. Would there be a way of getting school buses off the main road to have the children access? Well, mainly because you have the children and it's a nice day. If it's snowy or rainy or something like that, now you've got 15, 25 cars lined up waiting for the bus on the side of the road. No, I don't know who's,
is that something we want to put in our regulation or address that?
Yeah,
Or
the
address that?
school buses
They
have
can't go into the-
a lot of limitations, that's for sure. They ain't gonna go into a, I shouldn't say, I don't want the.
Because weren't we
Correct.
told, didn't, Ron, weren't we, when you brought that up for Mansfield, weren't we told they can't go in there? Because even you talked about like the cul-de-sac area, and I feel,
yeah, I know they don't
go into cul-de-sac.
they don't go into cul-de-sacs.
I don't think they're gonna go into a parking lot.
They go into parking lots to turn around.
Yeah.
So we can't say they can't. They definitely can. What's the restriction? Is it the bus company? Is it the landowner?
My guess would be the bus company. I have to pick up two kids at Firelight Drive. Are they gonna stand at the end of the driveway on Firelight, whatever that driveway is, or are they gonna walk to the intersection? If they walk all the way to the intersection of Honeywell and 22, where does the bus turn around? It doesn't, because it's going to North Haven, so it's, I'm making an assumption, just walking, talking through it. You can make a turn and go park right at the end of the entrance to the complex and pick up the kids there, do a U-turn in the parking lot and drive right back out. That's just my assumption.
I think the only thing we can consider is like a spot for them on their own property to create a space, because we've done that. Like a little hut or something for the kids to wait for the bus as it's going by on the main state road. I don't think we could do it anymore. Because that's out of our purview. We can't say yes or no to a bus going into a, it's up to the bus company and the North Branford transportation policy.
Right. and you put something in the regs to have a bus, it may not be used for 10 years, depending on the workforce that decides to stay in this complex. But I would say
I
it's
think-
part of
I
the
know,
site
yeah.
plan development when it comes to that point. If it's an issue. And we wouldn't know. We may not have any kids out of there. I think the max for this complex and this size is maybe 7 over the period of whatever the years are.
And they also, they kind of go based on what's, like, they balance safety and efficiency, because I know like K1 and 2, they go to each house. 3, 4, 5, the little ones group in the middle of a few stops. 6 and up is the closest corner. So,
Unless you're in a cul-de-sac or a road, because
I'm assuming it would just be one stop at a multifamily housing
Yeah.
complex, like everybody's just
Right.
there and go, no matter what the age. And I mean, at the end of the day, just people, I don't think it is what it is.
You use the example of a potential complex near Honeywell. So you're gonna have the convergence of people trying to get to work on time, parents double parking because it's, inclement weather, the buses, and the people leaving for hockey practice in the morning. So it's,
People wouldn't need to double park there though, because they're gonna be right there in the complex.
They'll
They're
be
just
in the
gonna walk their kid
complex.
out.
Yeah.
that doesn't happen, and I know it doesn't happen.
But
I
it's-
mean-
So, no, I'm just throwing out there, this scenario, is it right? God forbid a kid gets hurt. I don't want it on my conscience that I didn't bring it up.
Right, and I think that's a site plan
yeah.
decision.
I'm even thinking, it's called, at that example, Honeywell Drive. Oh, he can drive down, no, we can't because Honeywell Drive is a dead end. I
Right.
assume there's a cul-de-sac somewhere.
I don't, because I'm even thinking like west, what's that right there? West Wind even? Right there, take a left off of 17, Rodeo Drive, and like, there's people, my point is, I don't think you could rent that anywhere, like you just said, like even on full, like people are waiting, especially in the cold weather, the cars are waiting. We could try to, I don't think,
I don't-
parents, like you said, parents are gonna do what they're gonna do to keep their kids warm or out
Right,
of the rain.
I don't know the answer, I'm just throwing the scenario out there.
And I'm sure that I'm sure that buses have rules and regulations too, that unless there's certain, blah, blah, blah.
So I guess my question is, who's driving this, the bus driver or the planning and zoning?
The bus company is dictating, not us. We can't predict, Ron, how many children are gonna come living here or anywhere we float this
Mhm.
and approve it.
But it's a site plan issue. You can't,
It is a site
you can't,
Yeah, it wouldn't be part of these type of regs.
So speaking of the site plan, is this you said this is, any application would be special use for this?
yeah.
Okay, so that's how that,
Is that stated anywhere? I feel like another application in our reg says blah, 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 special use.
No, it's like on page,
because this last statement is it's a request to modify the approved site development plan. So it's assuming you have an approved one, will require a special use. But what if, is that?
39.5. Special use permit application.
Oh, there it is.
Thank you. I don't know why I didn't see it. 39.5. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Any other comments? Questions, concerns? We have just a few changes out of this discussion. Dave will continue this till next meeting, and approve the final draft as revised today, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Assume that it's plenty of time, because we closed the public hearing last week, right?
Yeah,
Last
we got
meeting,
plenty of
so
time.
Plenty of time, yeah.
In fact, we don't even have to worry about time because
It's ours.
Or the generator.
it's our application.
Yep.
Good, okay. The agenda, back to the agenda, item 5, new business. No new business, item 6, other
Okay,
business.
we're-
I got you.
Thanks.
Other business zoning regulations updates.
So I have the one about the daycare that's required by the state statute, and I just haven't moved on that. So I will start working on that and getting it done before they start getting mad at me.
Okay. So one of the other topics that came up in discussion amongst the commission members, the Republican side, was the topic of cannabis. Has either one of my Democrat colleagues had any conversations with the town council members? Okay. May I suggest that you guys reach out to the Democrat town council and see how they feel about the item? You guys can caucus, as the Republicans have caucused about the topic, to see how we want to move forward as a commission. It's been explained to me that we are the governing body on that item, and they have no say in it, but I know there was some concerns. Bill, you had brought it up to us previously. We don't want to put out a regulation that we don't know how the town feels about it. So the only thought I had was to reach out to our town council counterparts and get a feel, because they are the elected officials were appointed to kind of answer your concern on that very topic. Whether we go with the regulation that Dave had presented to them in a letter August 8th, saying here's a reg that we want to approve it, which has not been replied back to us. And so I don't know how you, what's your thought, Bill, on the cannabis from your standpoint of view? And Trish, you too.
You really want to know my point?
Well,
I can't believe we're even talking about the Republican and Democrat if you're talking about town council. It should be the town council speaking
Okay.
as one voice. This whole
understood.
Democrat, Republican is nonsense to me.
No,
No, I know.
Robert's rules is that after the meeting, you and I and Trish cannot talk about anything.
Ron, I'm saying,
Yes, I
we
know.
solicited I felt strongly that this whole topic is a town-wide topic, so the town council should weigh in. It doesn't seem like one party should weigh this way and another party that way. I was looking at the town council as a whole unit to weigh in and give us guidance.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, I know.
On the same page as you, but we can't have that dialogue as a commission, because we'd have to have everybody, and it's in the public. So to answer the question as a town, we have to make the decision, period. But not having the full benefit of how the town feels, the only recourse that we have is to break it by Republican and Democrat and get their position as the elected representative back to us individually, and then we share the dialogue in a public forum on how the town feels about it. 'Cause I
So
think that's where you.
Tom, our liaison, can't bring the voice of the town council to us? Or someone from the town council?
They're choosing not to.
Okay.
Why do we think the town council knows what the town wants?
They're the best elected officials that we
Yeah.
have. They were elected, we weren't.
I
I
just
think
feel,
the only way to know what the town wants is that public hearing and see what happens.
good point.
I don't have a problem with that either, Trish.
Or
Only two people came and spoke out against it.
Or the flip side
a few
is
years ago.
to either keep the moratorium or to ban it and see if there's, I don't care either way, but it's a silly exercise if, I just don't, I think if someone had an application, they'd be here soliciting an amendment.
I don't think there's a difference between three
So-
Republicans talking, 3 Democrats talking, and 2 Democrats and 1 Republican talking. At the end of the day, we're still, yes, one's legal, one's illegal. To me, there's no difference. At the end of the day, I think we could caucus and talk in circles for days. It's just at the end of the day, if we want to know what people want, we'll put it out there.
So what do you want to put out there? That's the question. You want to put out there the regulation or?
Well, let me,
I think it's a business
so
like any
can I
other.
ask a question? I don't know if you can answer this, but we put we asked for input, we never got it, so we put the moratorium on. So we have a moratorium till October 21st of 2024, so why are we even talking about this now?
So why wait though? What's the difference between today or October? What's gonna change?
There's no applications for us, so why are we even spending our time? We have other things to do, work on our regulations.
Okay, let's circle back to what Dave says. How do you feel about it? Since this is our discussion, which way do you want to go?
Well, he doesn't care.
I could care less how, I
Okay,
just
that's
don't,
fine.
if there's no one coming with an application, there's obviously no need for us to do anything, that's my point. If someone wanted to have a business, they'd be before us,
What did the Republicans
saying,
decide?
we would like to bring regulation to the town, like
Right.
this happens for many regulations.
What did the Republicans? What did
So
they come out
from my perspective, as a commission member, and having 2 public hearings on the moratorium, both from our state representative and a local resident who works in the field, I'm against having cannabis being sold, solicited, manufactured in North Branford, period. End of story. That's how I feel about it, as a commission member.
That brings me to the exact point of why I think it should be a town-wide thing. I don't care, I don't disagree with you, but I don't necessarily agree. I don't have a vested interest either way. But if we all say no, who are we to say no?
We're the deciding party. That's who says no. Someone's gonna say yes or no. And we're the deciding party.
fact party to actually develop the regulation.
That's
Not to
correct.
decide for the town. I guess to Trish's point, we'd have a public hearing and hear from the town.
It's a business like any other. You have people going, I know Carrie made a good point several years ago. Go to the drugstore, you get your prescription opioids, somebody could be addicted to opioids. Like, it's a business, there's drunk driving left and right. Like, it's a business like any other. And, one thing we prided ourselves as a commission, we consider everything. That's how I see it.
Okay.
I don't see any urgency to it personally now. To me, I think
Okay, so
I'll
we,
keep doing moratoriums if no one comes forward with a regulation. That's,
gotcha. Okay.
It
Ron,
can't-
how do you feel about it? Bill, you're kind of, either way we say for or against it, it doesn't matter to you, right? There's no sense of urgency to put it out currently, right? That's
Just
it.
keep the moratorium.
there's no sense of urgency for me, no.
Okay.
No one's asking for it.
Well, they can't. There's a moratorium. Right?
Oh,
Did I
well,
miss-
of course they can.
Oh, they can? Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, anybody can petition to change the regulations.
Change the regulation, gotcha. Okay, I apologize.
So they'd come, somebody would call me up and say, we want to do this. I'd say, well, there's a moratorium right now, but go talk around and see what people think.
Yeah.
You can always change the regulation. Even if you say no, you can change the regulation. But once you say yes, then they have it as a right, or whatever regulations, once you allow it, you allow it. But if you don't allow it, then somebody can come and request that you change the regulation. So, I sort of lean towards what Bill's saying. If they're shopping around and looking for a town to go in, they see it's a moratorium, it's not like it's a no or a yes, it's we're still thinking about it.
Okay. Ron, what's your take on this? Let's get everyone's comment on it, and then we'll put this to bed for good.
Well, you know, I was thinking, I'll use my example. My wife and I were recently in a car accident in the center of Norfolk. The person was both drunk and sky high. I was taken to Yale New Haven Hospital, which is not in North Branford. So if I wanted something that I needed, you know, if I want pot, I can go to Branford. My personal doctors are not in North Branford. So it's, why should we have something that has the potential of being dangerous? You know, just adding to the pot. You know, you're gonna come back and say, well, alcohol's dangerous too. Well, you know, I got put in a hospital for alcohol and pot. You know, it wasn't heavy drugs, it was just pot. So, you know, I don't think we really need it if you want to go into somebody else's town.
Okay.
To you, Trish.
You know, it's, as I said, it's a business like any other, you know, just because marijuana being sold somewhere doesn't mean it's gonna increase people doing it, because they can go to Branford, they can go here, they can go there. There's alcohol, I guess there's people addicted to their prescription drugs they pick up at Rite Aid and here and there. You know, it's the same reactions we're having to marijuana, we have the same reactions to alcohol. So why are our personal beliefs dictating one and not the other? That's what I struggle with in trying to be an unbiased commission. Is business. How it gets used, that's not on us. You know, Oxycontin's legal. People are addicted to it. So that's my perspective. It's just to be as unbiased as possible and considerate.
What do you think, Paul?
Do you want to get in front of, and get some regulations too, before somebody comes in and puts something out there? Is that what we're getting at?
That's
Instead of
the
waiting
goal,
until
is to,
someone comes and says, this is what I want to do, we already have some sort of regulation, right?
And
That's correct.
all we can really regulate, if we approve it, all we can really regulate is the hours and the location. So we can say it can't be within 150 feet of a school, 150 feet of a church, those sort of things, and hours. Outside of that, it's all state regulated.
instead of having a moratorium, I thought it'd be better just to close the door on this one way or the other.
What are the two options?
Either approve it with regulation of it being able to grow, manufacture, transport, sell any type of cannabis, marijuana that you can think of.
Or the other side is just, we don't do anything.
We don't do anything is another thing, and we carry another moratorium in October, or we draft a regulation stating the opposite, that North Branford is against sale, manufacture, blah, 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 so on and so forth. They're kind of the three options.
And then your suggestion was to go back and ask, let's say the next level, the higher ups, what are they getting feedback from the town as if they want something like this, or does anybody care, or people are strongly opposed to it?
So
That's what we've asked, and we haven't gotten a response.
we propose a regulation to approve it, and the various things as I described in August of last year.
To approve it,
Yes.
and no one got back either way to say, no, don't approve it, or yes, it's a good idea, move forward.
Well, I received feedback from Tom and other town council members, but it doesn't answer the question of the public is in Bill's point of view.
Yeah.
The vast majority, in my opinion, of the town council is they don't want it in North Branford. That's what I've heard from them.
And so we have the authority to say that and put it in as,
We're the governing authority for zoning, planning and zoning regulations, land use in North Branford,
It's our decision.
not theirs.
you want to decide on the number.
We're voicing our opinions on how we feel about it to decide whether to, I don't know, just have another discussion about it, but go ahead.
And there's no rush or pressure because of the moratorium.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts either way in your standpoint of view?
No, I didn't look into it too much, but I mean, if it's not here now, I wouldn't pull it in or entertain it.
Okay.
I mean, you do get 2% tax. There is a little benefit to the municipality in terms of income.
This is true. If it's what's the wording was, disadvantaged community, I believe is the language, unless they change it and eliminate it in the next session.
Well, the disadvantaged communities got priority in terms of the license,
Yeah.
but every municipality gets the 2%. So if you want to increase your tax base,
But it's only in the sale of the product, correct?
yeah.
Okay, so if we grow it, then we don't get any revenue.
I don't know about the details
So
about the.
irregardless of that,
We're really talking retail.
right. So some of the research I've done on cannabis, there's been over 20,000 different peer reviews on the use of this product in its various forms, and none of it is good. And one of the things that we don't take into account is the history that's already out there for Oregon, Washington, those states that already have approved it years ago. And since we, state of Connecticut, have legalized recreational marijuana, the studies that I've looked at from the 8-year study from, I think it was Oregon, that the actual use of marijuana, the growing of it, far outweighed the use because most people grew it themselves. And actually the black market overtook the sale of cannabis in the state. So it's not so much that you have to go buy it, you can go grow it now yourself. And I think that's the condition that we're in the state of Connecticut. It's only a matter of time before the black market will overtake the $20 million that I believe was last month or whatever month, I hear this on the radio of how much cannabis is revenue brought into the state. So there is the ability to grow it yourself in the state of Connecticut. So what would be the sense of going to buy it when you can grow it yourself? And there's the adverse effects to the youth and its various products, as Carol Regan came in front of us twice in the vape form and everything else. I don't think that's conducive for the residents of North Branford, in my opinion. But I think that's all I have to say about cannabis. I think we all have our opinions on it. So I guess we'll sit back and relax a little bit more and see what happens. All right, unless you guys hear something otherwise. All right. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. Number 7, Dave, Town Planners Report, February 1st. Anything hot?
Don't have a report.
Next meeting's February 1st, right? First and third Thursday?
First day, fifth is.
So the only thing on the docket would be the amendment to the zoning regs.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
So that was February 1st, next meeting?
Right?
Why?
Is it not correct?
Where are you going?
He's probably jetting off.
Nowhere.
France or something.
Yeah, France, California.
So,
No, I'm going to Panama.
See?
so this leads you to right to number 8, Ron. I think this is your item.
Well, I was checking the date, and we're rapidly approaching a significant date, and I just want to point out to you guys, don't take your significant others for granted, and remember, February 14th
Yeah.
is a very important day.
But it's a good point.
Save that for February, because I need a reminder closer to the date. Yeah.
I wrote it on the top of the notes here.
So the 15th is the.
One and 15.
Ah, yeah, the 15th.
That being said-
Staying on the 15th, you're in
We'll make sure that's in the minutes, okay?
That's my daughter.
That being said, I motion we adjourn.
I second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Oppose, abstain, none.
That's
Motion
funny.
carries, ending the meeting at 8:12. Very
All
good.
right.
Thank you, guys.
Stay warm.
I know.
Amen.
Yeah. Got it.